everybody, and welcome back to this week's edition of This Woman Can. I am your host, Janice Sutherland, career strategist for the vintage woman. That's probably a new word I'm trying with this week. With basically, the mature woman, the woman who has lived life and wants to live it a little bit more. So my guest this week, and I'm so happy to interview her this week, is Melissa McClary Davis. And she's the founder and CEO of Wise Digital Marketing. And Melissa has established herself as a leading expert in the digital marketing industry with over 30 years of digital marketing experience with Fortune 500 companies in a diverse range of industries. In addition to serving the top corporate echelon, Melissa's passion for problem solving and teaching has also led her to top-tier marketing consultant services to small business owners to support them in successfully navigating digital marketing. And trust me, that's something we all need to learn how to navigate. As a result, her clients achieve noteworthy sales conversion and high ROI with marketing strategies that reach maximum market shares in the digital universe. She has a very hands-on approach, and she has the ability to demystify the marketing process. And she is now expanding her offerings and sharing her signature Wise Digital Marketing Blueprint plan to help other small business owners and entrepreneurs amplify their brand. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about Melissa and her transition in her mature years. And I want to say, welcome, Melissa. Welcome to This Woman Can.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is so nice. And I think it's an honor to be here, to be in your space, Janice, to talk to a lot of lovely women who are in your space.
Fantastic. So I've given your bio, the official bit, the bit you want people to know. I love all that. But tell us about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. And you know what? Thank you. That was such an amazing bio. I was like, who is that person she's talking about? Oh, yeah, it's me. It's me. I think the best way to kind of sum up how I got to my journey is I am a sci-fi geek. I love technology and I love things that make it easy for people to do things. So I like to skip steps. I don't like to do things exactly like how it was taught. And I would love to kind of skip some steps. So I'm waiting for the universal translator. So that's why I'm not taking a language and I don't speak anything but English. I'm waiting for the holodeck because I think we should be able to bounce where we want to go. And until those two things come to light, I really look at like technology to make things better for my life and better for business, I guess. I got into business marketing. If marketing wasn't in the business school, I wouldn't have been there. I love the creativity of marketing. I love the idea of the art and science behind it. I like to, teach people how to take that and grow with it. And then the internet, when it came out like in 94, after I had graduated from grad school, I was just intrigued with it, especially e-commerce. The fact that I didn't have to go into a mall to buy something, I was like, I have to, find out what this is all about. I hate shopping. So if I can just go ahead and go online and look for it, that's great. And so it kind of snowballed from there, got into e-commerce, rolled the wave of web, 1.0 and then web 2.0 within year 2000. And then I found out that there's a lot of businesses who just did not know anything about it, nor do they want to embrace it. So I love that. I love to teach people that. My mom was a school teacher for 47 years, so I think it's in my blood to kind of teach people how to do things like that. And then I just love just the newness of it. And I'm a curious person. And like I said, I'm a geek, and I want to get us to the point where we have a universal translator and we have a holodeck or someplace that bounces off. And if this is the direction, fine. That's why I love the internet. I love digital. I love what's happening with AI. I'm not scared of it. I know a lot of people are like overwhelmed with it. I'm embracing it because it makes me feel like the early 90s again, or the mid 90s again. So that's sort of like how I kind of navigated through that. It has to be fun, has to be interesting and curious. And so I was able to kind of go to great schools that allow me to work with amazing brands and businesses to help them move the needle on it.
Yeah. So thank you for that. So you transitioned out of the corporate sector into the entrepreneurial sector. So
Yes.
what prompted, because that can be quite a scary process. I'm talking from experience as well. So what prompted that change, that reinvention to there?
Oh, it was fairly simple. I've always worked like client services, although I was a client for folks. And with client services, you work on a variety of different brands. And although those brands were great, I really wanted to pick my own clients. I wanted to have
Mhm.
the control of that and the freedom of that.
Yeah.
Because I worked in the digital space, I had seen a lot of entrepreneurs because usually in new tech, emerging tech, there's always
Yeah.
entrepreneurs who are coming up, right? And so I seen their lifestyle. I'm just like, that's a cool lifestyle. I want that. And the main thing was being able to pick my own clients and enjoy that lifestyle. So, in a word, freedom.
Yeah.
I knew at some point that I was going to be an entrepreneur. I remember taking the classes in grad school. I remember, doing the little lemonade stand. I knew I wanted to be my own boss at
Mm.
some point. So it was just a matter of when to take the leap,
Yeah.
because I knew it was inevitable,
Mm.
and it became inevitable, and so that's why I did it.
Fabulous, fabulous. Thank you for that. So in your application, you talked about having some major life events that seem to happen in very quick succession. So if you want to share a little bit about that, how if that has changed the way you think about your life and career.
Yeah, you know what? It's like I don't do things just once, right? Everybody knows about different life events that you have in your life, whether you get married or move or start a new job or have a baby. I kind of I did it all at once. I did it back in the early 2000, and I just recently did it, right? So I've been an entrepreneur full time for this is actually my 4-year anniversary month. So for 4 years now. And it gave me a sense of not only pride in what I was able to do in my first years, but also a sense of that I can do it, the can do, it's available to me. And with that came a succession of a lot of things. The pandemic, everybody's life event.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had some deaths in the family. And I just realized that, life's not promised to you. And I knew at this stage in my life that I want my golden years to be golden. And I needed to put some things in place to make that happen. And one of the triggering things was a divorce. So, and I had been married for it would have been 30 years this month too. So October is an entry month. So I was married for a long time.
Yes.
But I knew that I needed to make the change in order to make sure my future will be golden, and
Yeah.
also to kind of demonstrate that for my kids. So I had that happen to me, divorce last year. I had 2 kids who were moving on, one graduating from high school, one graduating from college. So that was new. Being an empty nester, selling my home. So I did all this
Wow.
within 13 months. So having all that life event and then also run a business,
Yeah.
is a lot. And I think I'm still processing it. At least that's what my girlfriends tell me.
Yeah. The great thing is you're still smiling.
Yes. Yes.
So that's a good thing, Melissa. That's a good thing. So, when you embarked, you say in 4 years, you made that change from corporate to entrepreneurship. What do you think's unique about pivoting mid-career, midlife? The challenges, the opportunities.
I think that's a great question, Janice. I think one of the big things that makes it unique is, especially if you're in your mid-career and you've had success,
Yeah.
you're a manager. I left as a VP, so I had a nice team of folks working with me,
Mhm.
right? When you jumped as an entrepreneur, you realize once again you have to roll up your sleeves,
Yes.
right? And you have to kind of do more things.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a problem with that, because I like to kind of get into things, not to say I was a micromanager, but I wasn't. But
Mm.
I had to do that. But I also realized I didn't want to do it. I know that, just because I can doesn't mean I should.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you have management experience, unlike some entrepreneurs who have trouble letting go and doing it all themselves, I have no trouble with that. I can delegate all day, every day. So it's just a matter of like, how can I get myself in the position, financial position, business position, to be able to delegate some of this stuff because I want it off my plate. And I think some new entrepreneurs or newer entrepreneurs, like in their 20s and maybe 30s, have struggle with that a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you're mid-career and you have seen and you've had management experience, it's very easy to kind of do your best to want to set that back up again, and delegate. So
fabulous, fabulous. But I appreciate that, and you want to change something, make things different. But what did you fear most about making that change?
I think, like most people, and I want to say feel your failure, but that's such a broad example. So I think if I looked detailed enough, what I feared most probably was what my peers thought of me doing this.
Yeah.
Because when you are mid-career, and especially in the services industry, right? Because I'm doing services, and you can say I have an agency, consulting, things like that. Sometimes people think that, okay, you just put your shingle out because you can't hack it in corporate, you know? And so that fear of that perception is probably the biggest thing for me. It took me a long time to actually update my LinkedIn with what I was doing. And I had to kind of come to grips with it and just embrace it. So I think the fear of the perception of my peers who, having gone to, great business schools, I mean, most of my peers are like, CEOs, COOs of a lot of organizations and a lot of big brands. And so to be able to sort of put your shingle out sends a message. And that was one of my fears.
And why do you think it mattered so much what they thought?
I think it's because of it wasn't anything that I said, but what people had perceived of me, like, oh, you're going to be doing XYZ for this organization. Oh, we could see you as X, and, working for Coke. We could see you as X, doing things and, with GM and Ford. So I think it was a little bit of that. And I think, when you don't do that, it sends a message that you failed in some format. And that wasn't the case. So
I certainly know when I stepped down from corporate, one of the things was that people couldn't believe I'd left a good job. They asked me if I'd been, the local newspaper called me and asked me if I'd been fired from my role. And I'm like, I just want to do something for me, something different. It's my prerogative to make that change.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the good news with my career path, especially in digital marketing, I had a lot of jobs because there was always so many different opportunities and things were successful, things failed. So you bounced around a lot. So leaving a good job. I think that happened to me, maybe 3-4 times, earlier. But for this time, I think people, it was more or less just doing it now where you're perceived as, oh wow, this is you're in a nice spot. So
yeah,
I agree.
And I think when you get to that, when you get to be women of our age, the perception is, I mean, traditionally it's been like you should be slowing down, looking towards retirement and getting the rocking chair and knitting out and taking it easy, where that couldn't be further from the truth.
Oh gosh, so yeah, exactly. I mean, slowing down now. Yes, I don't want to work like 90 hours a week, but it's interesting enough that if I do a time study, I'm sure I am working 90 hours a week but it's like my own thing. It's different. I think people do think you're slowing down. You're a lady who lunches, you're going out and like the salary curve starts to go down and things like that. No, this is to me more time freedom. I mean, empty nester, I don't have to worry about doing immediate caretaking. So these are the opportunities to do more.
Yeah. And one of the things I find interesting, I'm probably going to, it's just not an odd question, but I'm going to ask you anyway, is one of the things I find is that when I was in my 30s, 20s, maybe 40s, and in the corporate world, success was measured very differently to how I measure it now. And I'm not going to lie, I struggled with redefining what success meant to me in a different environment. So I suppose the question I've got for you, Melissa, is how do you define success for where you are right now in life?
Oh my gosh. Janice, you're so right. It was so, success was defined for me a little bit different. It was, did you get the house on the hill, or did you live in the right neighborhood? How well your kids are balanced, the car that you
Yeah.
drove. And some of those things, yeah, I think in my 20s and 30s were really, really important, and in some in the 40s for sure. Now, oh my gosh, how I define success, it's so different now. I used to, especially with my ex-husband, I always was trying to like achieve different titles, get a new title.
Yeah.
It's time to move the
Yeah.
title up. That was another success thing, right? And now it's sort of like, yeah, to me, success is freedom. I define success like this. After our talk today, I have a business where I have the flexibility to work from anywhere. I am going on a vacation and I'm taking my business with me in the Caribbean, like where you are. And to me, that's success. Success for me is, say that all my clients evaporate in one day.
Mm.
Nothing to show for it. And for me, it's like, okay, I'll DoorDash and I will get a job as a barista at Starbucks and be just as excited and happy by doing that. And if you had asked me that 10 years ago, that
Yes.
those were on the list of options that I would like gladly do, I would have looked at you like you had three heads. But for me, success is freedom. It's just doing the things that I like to do, more so than chasing a career ladder, based on the fact that I invested in a degree to do that.
Yeah.
Now to me, it's all about happiness and just being able to, go to sleep at night and kind of do a few things. I'm a simple person. I don't need the new shoes or the new bag.
Yeah. It
Different
changes.
now.
It's definitely different. So you're there, you're at this stage now, you know what success, how you define success, but it's not been smooth sailing. I'm sure it's not been smooth sailing all the way through. So what would you say, Melissa, was the most difficult part of your transition, and what would have made that journey easier when you look back?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, to me, one of the most difficult parts of it was sort of, and I'm still working on it a little bit now, is getting the word out and sort of messaging about who I'm working for and what I'm doing. But getting the word out, because like I said, you can put your shingle up, and people will look at your background. And my background is digital marketing. Digital marketing is such a broad field. It's huge. So I think one of the difficult things was to make sure that people knew exactly what I wanted to do, because there are aspects of digital marketing that I don't like doing and I don't want to do that. But so it's a matter of like managing client expectations and managing actually some of the referrals that I get to tell people like, thanks, but no thanks. And that's hard to do when you're like trying to build, a business and you're like, no, I don't do website development, but thanks anyway. That type of thing. So that was probably the most difficult thing, was like just getting the right message out for people, exactly what I do and what type of clients that I'm looking for.
Right. And we talked earlier, and you said about being perceived maybe as a failure by stepping out to the corporate world. But I always look at failure slightly differently. So my question for you is, how has failure made a positive difference in your life?
Oh, it's funny you say that, because yes, looking at it as a failure, but for me, the whole failure equals opportunities, right? And I came from digital, and so I worked with a lot of developers, and we used to say that phrase, fail fast. If you got to do it, get it done, and then move on. So failure has always been sort of like an opportunity for me to find what I can do different. I've never been too shy of failure in all aspects, probably except for financial. So I can fail is tragic, and fail in obviously, that's happened in relationships. And I think about what can I do differently. But failing in finances to me is probably the biggest challenge for me. And what I mean by failing in finances is like, okay, I invest in something and I lost it all. I don't that's the one that's probably the hardest thing for me to sort of grapple with when it comes to failure. But in and obviously failure in marriage by getting a divorce, and failure in relationships with folks, I can kind of get through that because it's usually an opportunity. And then I just kind of do the work to find out what can I do better next time.
Yeah. So women listen to this may say, okay, she can rebound from that, but how does she do it?
Yeah. One, you definitely have to have a village of friends around you to kind of give you the right perspective. I have this one of my best friends who I adore. And when you do go through divorce and things like that, I mean, there's highs and lows. There's days where you're just sort of like, what did I do? Especially because I initiated it. Did I make the right choice? I mean, especially after being married for so many years, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm on my own per se from a financial standpoint, but that wasn't a big deal with our marriage because I was the breadwinner anyway. But I had a good friend of mine. She says, well, Melissa, she just helps me take stock of what I have. And she's like, you can do this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
These abilities. And she'll compare me to, like, I have another friend who struggles with that, but you're going to be fine with that. So you just need a team, a village of women who will help write you and put you in the right perspective. That's one. Realize how bless your heart. I'm a woman of faith too. So I don't make a move without, knowing that it is something that is definitely that I thought about and prayed on and meditated with. And just understand that. And every decision I make there's always going to be pluses and minuses to them. And then you have to figure out, all right, more pluses and learn from it. So those are some of the things, but it does take, friends and family to kind of help with it.
So looking back, rewind the clock, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
Well, everybody talks about this. And if you're out there and you're in corporate right now, and if you thinking about taking the leap, take the leap. Everybody says this when you become an entrepreneur. They ask this question: don't you think you should have done it sooner? And the answer always seems to be yes. So if I think back of what I would have done differently, I probably should have taken a leap earlier and to be an entrepreneur. But I didn't. That's one thing I probably would have done differently. And in terms of some other decisions I make, would I've gotten divorced earlier? No. I mean, people think when you get divorced close to like after 25 years of marriage, people, some folks figure those divorces, you could have done it earlier, right? And there's some aspects where maybe so, but it's a road that you have to take. So I have no issues with that. But the other things I would have done differently is, gosh, I probably wouldn't have, my kids, my relationship, maybe wouldn't have ran too many marathons like I did back in my 40s, because right now my knees are jacked.
Talk to me, girl. Talk to me.
so trying to take out frustrations and anxiety through too much exercise can leave you a little bit hobbling somewhat more earlier than you want to. I think and then I probably would have taken more time off, more vacations. I would have done that, and knowing everything was going to be fine. I had glimmers of that, and I think I probably should have taken a little more risks from that perspective.
Yeah. So just following on for that, then my question that comes up for me is then what would be your best career advice for other women at midlife?
I think if you are thinking about being an entrepreneur, definitely take the leap, but make sure you have all your ducks in a row, and have that, but definitely do it, because you only have this one life, And so
Mhm.
you never know what could happen. The circumstances could lead you to have to do different things. If
Yeah.
you are blessed when you're doing mid-career, like I'm in my 50s, right? If you're blessed with still having your parents and having an opportunity to spend more time with them, and you adore them, then you want to slow down a little bit to give them more time before it becomes necessary, right?
Yeah.
The idea of having to caretake your parents, it's a circle that happens. And
Mm.
so it becomes less stressful if you can do that when you have more control over your decision making and your circumstances during the day. And as an entrepreneur, you can do that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can have more of that control. So I would say definitely do that. And then if you want to teach your children how to live a better life, um, then show them that
Mm.
as much. I think some kids, and my kids even mentioned it to me, that they saw how hard that we worked. And that almost was a negative for them
Yes.
because they just
Yeah.
didn't want to work that hard. They're like,
Yeah.
I was so, my kids, my daughter's a nurse, noble profession, and my son's in college right now. And I'm like, hey, thinking about marketing? And he's like, oh no, I would never do that. And my daughter was the same way. I'm like, why? It's so great. Do you see me doing it? And they're like, no, we don't want to work that hard. We saw
Yeah.
how hard you were working.
Yeah.
And, and not being, it doesn't seem to be, you were happy with it. And I'm like, well, working hard, trying to raise a family and all that.
Mm.
The days were long.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, so
Yeah.
for sure, those
I
are
hear
some of
that.
the things.
I hear that. So we're coming down to our last few questions.
Already?
But
Wow.
yes, I know. But you shared with me obviously that you're in your mid 50s, and so I embrace that because I'm there, well, past there with you. But what's the joy of being over 50, and what do you enjoy most about it?
Oh gosh. Um, you know what? Can we swear on your podcast? I'm not sure if we
Yeah,
can.
yeah, say whatever
Okay.
you want.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. One, you just do not give two fucks about anything anymore.
Ah,
You really don't.
yes,
Um, and that part one of the joys. I just really don't give two fucks about like the drama
yes,
that that I know my lovely cousins and I actually have a sister who's a millennial goes through. I'm just like, yeah,
yeah,
I just don't care
yeah,
as much anymore. The other joy too is that if you've done it right, you have a decent financial cushion so
mm,
that should something go wrong, you're not going to be homeless,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So no matter what, like I said, I could DoorDash and I could be a barista, and still be happy because I know that I'm not going to be homeless. So that's also one of the joys. The fact that I'm an empty nester,
yeah,
I love it. I mean, I love being a mother, but trust me, I
yeah,
am so happy that
yes.
my kids are doing really well on their own. I mean, my son just went back from fall break. He just left on Tuesday, and I'm like, whew, yes, I got my space back again, So just, I enjoy that. I also enjoy just kind of getting back to being an empty nester, getting back to doing some of the fun things you did before
Yeah,
kids.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Travel more. I purposely wanted to make my business remote so I
yeah,
can work from anywhere. And I'm going to take full advantage of that. So those are, some of the main things that I do. And then things just don't, things roll off, I don't get, I don't get upset because, there's a traffic jam.
yeah.
I try to kind of keep things easier. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't give two fucks anymore. That's probably
Yeah,
the best thing.
yeah, and I think there's a level. There's like a release. I remember being in when I was still in the corporate and I was in my 50s, but my attitude was that I'm not on a career trajectory here. So what I need to say, I'm going to say, and you're going to hear it.
Yeah.
So because it's not going to impact my career, because my career is not the first and foremost most important thing to me right now in my life. Because as you said, my kids are grown. I'm an empty nester. This, that, and the other. I'm in control of me. The only person I'm responsible for right now is me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that level of Yeah, don't give two shits. Really does make you feel just the sense of release is it's a great feel. It's a great feeling.
It is, yeah, it's an
Great feeling.
amazing feeling. It
Great
is.
feeling. So Melissa, what are the three things you've learned about yourself during your career?
Oh, three things. One, I'm very, very flexible. And I have mastered when people, if somebody says that, especially in digital marketing, if somebody says they're an expert in digital marketing, they're lying because it changes. I have mastered the art of the pivot.
Right.
Because when it comes to marketing, digital marketing in particular, you have to pivot because things change on a dime. I teach a digital marketing course, and even this year, it's a 16-week course. Week 1, and in week 16, I have to go back because week 1 doesn't even exist anymore because it's changed so dramatically. So that's one thing. I've mastered the art of the pivot. The other thing is, I have figured out that I am more of a visionary, a big picture strategist. I love trying to help people understand the strategy of doing things, and I'm not going to be bogged down in the weeds and in the attention to detail. Although some aspects of folks need that, I will find the tools that will help me with that. But that's an area that I'll give you the big picture and I'll tell you the story, and everybody loves that story. And I think third is, people tend to think I'm pretty, I guess I'm an extrovert, pretty bubbly. They find that I'm overly passionate about my area, which is being a marketing geek, and that's true. And I just don't understand why others folks aren't. So sometimes I have this curse of expertise where I think, don't you know that? You should know that. Because I, spent, the last 4 months knowing artificial intelligence and AI and how it works and how it can help your business. Don't you know that already? You should know that. So I think those are the three things.
Fabulous, fabulous. So a complete left ball question before we finish up. Who or what is your favorite sci-fi character?
Oh, I gotta only pick one. Okay.
I'm gonna make it for you.
Yes, if I have to pick one, it's you're making me pick one. I told you I was a sci-fi geek, right?
Yes.
Oh, I guess I'm gonna have to say the Doctor. I'm a Whovian. I love Doctor Who. I
Okay.
love Doctor Who.
So let's not get me stuck about, because obviously being British, Doctor Who is a bit of an institution.
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
I can't say I remember all the Doctor Who's because there's been quite a few, but who would be your favorite?
My doctor would be the fifth Doctor. So Peter Davison is my doctor.
Okay,
My doctor. And here in the States, to try to watch Doctor Who, it would come on late at night on PBS when I was like in my teens and early 20s, to try to catch it. So it was really hard to find it here. But he's considered my doctor because he was like one of my first. But I love them all.
Yeah.
But yes. Yeah. I just I love the power and the capability of it. So yes, that's my favorite sci-fi character is the Doctor.
Yeah, I'd probably age myself if I said John Pertwee.
Oh yeah,
That's who I grew up. I mean, and I think there were two more before him because I can visualize them. I can actually visualize them, but I am people. I am that era, right?
Yes. Well, and everybody always talked about Tom Baker as the doctor.
Yes.
People love Tom Baker. And and Peter Davison came right after him.
Yes.
And so people are like, oh my gosh, they couldn't grasp him. But for that era of Doctor, Peter Davison is my favorite. But I was able to kind of convince my kids to watch the new era. And so we love them all. Love David Tennant as well. So but yeah, I'm a geek. It's that, or Jean-Luc Picard is my other one, but I know you only want so.
Thank you. So, Melissa, thank you so much for that. So, if people want to know more about what you do, get in touch with you, contact, how can they do that?
Yes, you can find me on socials, Wise Digital Marketing. I'm sorry about that. Wise Digital Marketing, which like the wise old owl. So you can find me there. WiseDigitalMarketing.com is my website. You can find me there as well. I have a YouTube channel. And if you want to get in touch with me, there's a little contact up in the upper right corner. And I love to talk about what I do. And so you can reach out to me and we can have a lovely conversation. I don't know if it'll be as lovely as this one, but it will be a lovely conversation about things that you need for your business and in digital marketing. So
excellent. And I'll be sure to put all the links in the show notes. So, Melissa, thank you so much for your time today.
thank you too, Janice. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.